Hello, let's get things started this week by taking a look at productivity. So what do you think? Does your computer make you more productive? You might be tempted to say yes to that right away. It seems like an obvious thing, but can we explain how? Why or why not? Well, maybe you say, okay, I've got email and word processing and spreadsheets, and I can communicate with people and I can do my work better than ever before. At the same time, some of you may be thinking, there's some negatives too, because there's social media and other things that distract me. So maybe it makes me more productive, maybe it doesn't. Question is, if you do think there are some productivity gains, how would we measure those? Can we measure them? Let's think about it from a student point of view. If someone offered to buy you a computer, could you justify that based on an increase in grade? Perhaps. Um, Would it give you a 5% boost in grade or a 10% boost in grade? That's a little bit harder to say, isn't it, to quantify that. We have the same problem in business when we try to, estimate or predict the benefits of buying into some technology. Can we translate that into a dollar number? Well, for some systems, think about this at the college, we have email. It's productivity software. No one would want to live without it, I don't think. But can we measure how much that actually helps us? That's a tougher question, isn't it? What about word processing? How much does that help me during the day? What's that worth to us? Right? And then we can get into more specific systems like CamLink or D2L. D2L might be an obvious, yeah, absolutely, that helps me. But again, can I put a dollar amount on that? So those are the kinds of questions that are a little bit interesting for us to explore um, as we go through things. And so that's what we want to look at today. So why do we care about productivity in the first place, or productivity and innovation? What is BTM? It stands for Business Technology Management, but what's that all about? We'll talk about that and its relationship to all of this. And then finally, we'll try to look at how information systems improve productivity. Specifically, what are the points where we can jump in and get some value? Back in 1989, there's an economist named Stephen Roach, and he said he's found no increase or evidence of an increase in worker productivity associated with all the technology spending that was going on at the time. Now, let me give you a little context. That was a time when companies were making massive investments in technology. The internet was sort of just coming online. Networking was happening, and so the world was really changing. Companies were spending a lot of money on technology, and he was saying, look, we're not getting any results out of that. Another economist came along and said, we see computers everywhere except in the productivity statistics. So he's kind of trying to be a little bit funny about it and say, look, we have computers everywhere in business, but are we getting anything out of it? Right? And so that's sort of where we started back then, and we would have thought by now things would have gotten better. But the interesting thing is that whole paradox around productivity stays with us today. All right, we often question our investments in technology. Just think about what happened over the last few years with mobile computing. Everybody wanted to get an iPad or a tablet. A lot of those are just sitting on the desk collecting dust now in many organizations. People didn't really utilize those for any value. They were just enamored with the new technology. So how do we ensure that we're not wasting money and resources when we consider buying new technology? Well, technology can create business value for us, right? And there's no doubt about that. I'm not saying we should throw it away. We'd use it because it does provide value. But let's think about a few things more specifically, right? If we can make more outputs from the same inputs, that might be handy. So one instructor can now teach 5 classes instead of 4 by using technology to take care of some of the background administrative work. That might be one way to do it. Another way might be to make better outputs from the same inputs. So maybe I can use technology to make me a better instructor. Maybe that's by providing you with access to materials or other resources that you wouldn't have had without the technology. And then a third way is to do things faster than before, right? So can we do things quicker than before? Maybe I can get your grading back to you faster, or I can get feedback back to you faster on things that you've done by using some technology to help facilitate that. Let's think about maybe in Finance 110, I taught that course with some of you I know, and you might have emailed me a question and I was able to get back to you fairly quickly rather than waiting until the next day and hoping to catch me in my office. So that would be faster output for you by using technology. So that's sort of the more, better, faster concept, right? So more outputs, better outputs, or faster outputs. And that's one way technology can improve productivity, so we can look for that. Another thing that's going on is technology can alter how companies compete, can change the playing field, maybe by allowing new players into a market, opening up new markets or opportunities for existing players, all kinds of things like that to help them compete in new ways. Right? So that's the second way that technology can create business value. And finally, a third way is by providing new benefits to the end customer. Right? So technology can make things more efficient and changes how business works. So customers may see cheaper and better goods and services. I guess we don't have to look much further than Amazon to think about that. You're able to get products a little bit cheaper and very conveniently dropped off right at your door even the next day. All right, so that's a big change there. Now, by the way, let's think about the second one again for a second. One thing I should have mentioned there is, let's imagine there's two companies, Company A and Company B. What happens if Company A invests into new technology that is beneficial, that does help? Well, Company B is kind of forced to play catch up. So even if you don't want to get into the game, you might be forced into the game. Right? So it's very interesting how technology impacts business value for us. Now, to help us understand all of that, we kind of need a new generation of experts. We need professionals who have a combination of technical skills and good, solid business skills. All right, so industry is looking for those people. And to help with that, we've come up with something called business technology management. And Canada has set up a business technology management program all across the country where industry and educators have got together to create the type of program that industry feels they would like graduates to have. And a lot of post-secondary institutions are now offering those, including Simon Fraser University and UBC and BCIT. All right. There is a link here. Can't click on it now, but I will post a link for you where you can follow through and learn more about those programs. But basically, in those programs, students will learn a lot of the same business things that you've been learning in your program: marketing, HR, management, accounting, finance, all the good courses you may have taken. But then they're going to also learn things like project management, systems development, and mobile computing, and security and control, and all of those issues that you might learn in a technology program. All right. This particular course, Biz 241, is like a little tiny mini version of that, isn't it? We've always tried to have at least something there for you, but for a lot of students, they want to go further. By the way, grads from these programs, they get snapped up. They can't pick them up fast enough. I just noticed yesterday in the news, Amazon is hiring up to 33,000 new workers at the moment, having big job fairs. A lot of those jobs are for people with a combination of business and technology skills. And the average starting salary in those jobs is $150,000 US. So people are being paid well and they're in high demand if they've got that combination. So systems can improve productivity by helping us become more efficient. All right, so we could do our business processes more quickly or with fewer resources. So that goes back to maybe making more things or doing things better, right? Or faster. We can also increase effectiveness, right? So the company can do new or improved goods and services that the customer wants. So that's doing things right. So I guess if we look at the more, better, faster thing that I talked about before, that would be more, that would be better, faster would fit up here too. That's sort of efficiency is focused on that, getting things done more quickly than before or with fewer resources. All right. Effectiveness is more about doing the right things. Okay, so getting overall business value out at the end. That's what we care about there. And so those are two similar terms, but slight differences. Technology can help with both of those. Right? We look at this picture from the book. They talk about the process of creating tires for your car. Well, it all starts with rubber trees, doesn't it? And so from those rubber trees, someone has to take the sap from those trees and ship that. And maybe this has been shipped to Vietnam now on a container ship. We can follow the flow, and then it gets processed once it's in Vietnam, and then the processed rubber may get sent to Canada. Maybe once it doesn't actually arrive in Saskatchewan, it would probably arrive over here, wouldn't it? And then it may travel along by train to some factory in central Canada, where a factory turns that rubber sap or raw rubber material into tires. Those tires then go to the shipping area where they get sent out to retailers, and then the retailers can send those out to customers to put on their car. All right, so there's a whole chain of events there that happens. Along the way, different things happen that add value. We process the rubber into raw rubber sap into basic rubber, and then later on we process that rubber into products, and we're shipping along the way, and we're marketing along the way, we're designing new tires along the way and testing them. Technology can help with all of those things. IS can help with many of those things, right? As we go along the value chain. One might just be with shipping and scheduling that, right? Another might be with helping to find out what customers want and building the correct tires or manufacturing the correct tires so we can sell them, right? Another might be helping manage the retail store. So lots of different ways technology can help with that. Now, having a picture like that is kind of useful because we could focus in maybe on one particular thing and go, okay, when we're shipping from the port to the factory, let's find some systems that'll help with that, right? So we can focus in. Trouble is, this picture is not very formal, and like a lot of things in business, we like to formalize it a bit so we can study it more clearly. And so someone came up with the idea of a value chain, right? And that's the network of all the value creating activities that we just looked at. So we had it in a sort of a picture format a minute ago with the tires. There are lots of different things that were all chained together one after the other, a business process that created some value in the end. Now, if we think about it, there's some primary or main things that go on there, like manufacturing and marketing and that sort of thing. But there's probably some support things too, like all of the things that happen to hire people and pay them and that kind of thing, right? The finance and accounting, and HR and whatnot. So we've got lots of different business processes on the go to help support a value chain or a chain of events from the raw material all the way through to the finished product. Porter came up with a model that we could use where we could fill it in a little better. He said, look, here's some of the primary activities. We have inbound logistics where we receive, store, and manage inputs. We've got operations where we transform things from one thing into another, raw rubber into tires, for example. Outbound logistics, that's where we send things out, right, and deliver them. Marketing and sales. And then service, after the sale, how do we maintain things and keep customers happy so they come back again? So we've got a whole host of primary activities down here at the bottom. All right. So that's fine. That's one area. The other area is the support activities. So all the admin, legal, management, that sort of thing. Recruitment, retention, developing our staff, right? Using our information, finding and working with vendors, paying people. All those things would be support activities, right? Up here. And those are important too. They're not necessarily specific to the product that we're making, but without them, we can't run our business. Okay, so all of these primary activities and support activities come together to be what the company does to create value. Now, if you can do all of these things at a cost that is smaller than the final price you're going to pay or sell it for, you end up with something called the margin. You make some money off of this. The cheaper you can do these things for, the bigger your margin's going to be. Right? So that's Porter's value chain. Now, it's not talked about much in this chapter other than just in general, but we will come back to it later in the course and use it again. But I thought for now it might be nice for you to see it as a way to think about how technology might fit in there. So maybe I can find a system that helps with marketing and sales. We call those customer relationship management systems, CRM. We'll learn about those later in the course too. There's lots of systems for managing logistics. You know, UPS, they're sort of a world innovator in systems for moving goods around, and they've got lots of systems that'll help with that, right? Helps on the inbound side as well. Operations transforming, well, there's all kinds of production systems that'll help us manage the production floor, depending on the type of business we do. So those are business specific, aren't they, right? Service systems, CRM can help with that as well by getting customer feedback and making sure the customers are happy, right? On the admin and legal side, boy, we've got all kinds of systems there that can help with that. We've got accounting systems that can help with that. We've got HR systems that can help on the HR side. Lots of big stuff going on in HR these days, by the way, because, you know, accounting was an early adopter of technology going back many years. And we're still innovating there, but we've got a lot of that covered now, don't we? Accounts payable, accounts receivable, you know, all those good things that have to happen. But on the HR side, the systems there are a little bit newer, right? So we're continually innovating there, and there's some more exciting things going on there because HR can have a big impact on the company as well, right? Technology development, there's things that can help with that, like help desks and, you know, systems to keep track of all of that. And then on procurement, finding and working with vendors, there's all kinds of great communications systems as well that help us get out there, use things like the internet to connect and work with vendors and suppliers and that sort of thing. So we can pinpoint all of these areas and think, how can I apply technology to it to help reduce costs or produce more outputs or do things that are better, right? So that's our idea. So the value chain is great for helping us understand how systems can increase productivity. That may help us develop more efficient and more effective supporting activities, right? Doing things quicker and making sure we're doing the right thing. In the end, ideally, we can increase the margin that we're enjoying as a company. That's where the real value is. And so systems are a big part of all of that, new and improved services, and making the primary activities flow more smoothly. All right. So that's how we can use the value chain in the context of technology to think about a company. That's it for this video. A little more reading for you to do, and I would encourage you to explore those Business Technology Management Program links as well, or a link that I'm going to put up for you. You may find that interesting. I know a lot of students are trying to find ways they can differentiate themselves so they can find a more rewarding career, and often it is working with a bit of technology or a bit of data analytics that's interesting to people. So check that out. And then after you work through that material, we'll turn our attention to strategy and competitive advantage. In other words, how do we respond to the markets we're in, and how can technology help us with that? All right, thanks for now.